Oh, hey guys, don't mind me. I'm just doing some spring cleaning.
It's February, you idiot.
Man, this closet is a mess. When was the last time I cleaned up in here? Oh, hey, look. I found a journal. I've been meaning to buy one of these. In fact, I'll start writing in it right now. Let's see. My neighbor's birthday's coming up, so I should probably get him a gift. So I'll just write that down. Note to self, get Dante Mortem a gift. Oh, crap! Death Note was a Japanese manga about Light Yagami, a high school student that gets a death note, a notebook he can use to kill anyone just by writing their name in it. It was a huge success. It got an anime, 3 live-action movies in Japan, a live-action series in Japan, a musical, a Death Note serial, a CGI Disney Junior anime show called Death Note Babies. Alright, I made some of those things up, but you get the idea. Death Note is popular, and while I never read the manga, I have seen the anime, and I thought it was so cool. Like, the story was just really great, and the battle between Light Yagami and the Detective L was just so interesting to watch. For the first 25 episodes, after that the show kinda goes downhill, but that's a conversation for another day. Today I'm talking about something different. I'm talking about the live-action American adaptation of Death Note. Some people say it's the worst live-action anime adaptation of all time, and so I had to watch it because I don't know, I think I just hate myself or something, but whatever. Point is, was it actually that bad? Well, let's just get into it. Also, spoilers for this movie. I guess I should start by talking about how accurate this is to the anime. It's not that accurate. Like, there are many changes. Like, Light is different. The story takes place in America instead of Japan. There are some characters in the anime that aren't even in this movie. Just so many things. But I don't want most of this review to be, oh, it's not like the anime, so it's bad. Like, I don't want that to be my only complaint. There are some adaptations out there that are very different from their source material, but they still turn out pretty good. Sometimes even great. So I do want to look at this as its own thing. I will make some comparisons, but for the most part, I do want to look at this movie as its own thing. And as its own thing, it's still pretty terrible. But I do think there are signs of a good movie here. Like, there were some things that I thought could have been interesting if they were handled better. For example, both Light in the anime and Light in this movie, they both use the Death Note to kill bad people. In the anime, he did it because he wanted to create a new world in which he would be the god of that new world, and he would do anything to reach that goal, even if it meant killing innocent people along the way. But Light in this movie, instead, he does still kill bad people, but he doesn't want to kill innocent people. Instead, his girlfriend Mia, she tries to convince him to kill innocent people, and there's like a conflict between that. And I thought that sounds like it could be interesting, like that conflict. But the thing is, these characters are very uninteresting. Like, they're just not engaging at all. It especially doesn't help that these characters are barely given any time to develop. There aren't many scenes that help develop these characters. Like, with Light, sort of like they have some talk with his dad about how his mother died and stuff like that. But besides that, not much else. And especially Mia, like, she has this romance with like Light, and yes, this movie's a teen romance for a little bit, and it's like I hate it. But look, she's given this romance, but the romance doesn't really develop naturally. Like, she just goes like, oh, I guess he's pretty cool. To then when he shows her the notebook and shows what he can do, she's like, oh, okay, I'm in love with you now. And then they just start dating immediately, like that. Barely any time to fully develop that romance. And also with her character, like, she kind of goes to this change where she, like, when we see her turn a little bit more evil, you know, right, being willing to kill innocent people, and like, she's like, that barely does. It just like happens like just out of nowhere. Like, there aren't really many scenes to help show that, like, especially in this one scene where she talks about how she was a cheerleader and now like she feels like her life finally has purpose or something like that. But like, we barely see any of her life. It just goes like, oh, we see a little bit of her, then she starts dating Light, then she just turns evil. Like that. It's like that. And one more thing I will say, like, the movie is definitely trying to play off, at least for like, I think the first half, or like a big chunk of the movie, is that these are the good guys, we're supposed to support them and, like, you know, stuff like that. But they're still killing people. You know what I mean? It's like, in the anime, it's like we know what he's doing is wrong, and we definitely get the feeling that Light is a terrible person. But here it's like, oh, no, Light's a good person. He's like, yeah, but like, you know, he's still killing people. If there are some positive things I can say about some of the characters in these movies, is that there were part 2 that I particularly liked. That was Ryuk and L. Ryuk, I thought, was pretty good. My one issue is that with Ryuk is that, like, he looks cool and everything, and he's performed well, but like I don't really fully get his intentions. Like I don't know if he's supposed to be like this like guy that just doesn't really care. He's just interested to see how everything turns out, but doesn't really particularly want to help out like Light in his journey, or like if he actually is invested but for like the wrong way. I don't really get it. And with L, he was such a big part of the anime. Like he was like this detective who's trying to figure out who the killer is, like who's killing all these people, and it was really interesting like about how close he was getting to figure out that it was Light Yagami, all that stuff. I thought it was real interesting, but here it doesn't really feel like L really got into this case a lot. Like yeah, there were moments where he got close to finding out it was Light, but like I mean really close, but like it didn't really fully sink in. But he was still performed pretty well. Like the actor who played him did a pretty good job. But besides that, that's really only the positive things I can say about these characters, really. There were scenes in this movie that when I was watching it, I was like, you know what, this could actually be pretty good if it wasn't a better movie, because the way this movie executes things, the scenes just don't really work that well. Like for example, there's a scene where like there's this big betrayal between Light and Mia, and I thought that could be interesting if these characters were interesting. There's a scene where like L talks about how he never uses a gun, but when he's chasing down Light, he uses a gun. And I thought that could be shocking if L felt like he had a bigger presence throughout the movie. And same thing with Ryuk. There's a betrayal with him, and again, it would work if there was a bigger presence with him. Like that's a lot of this movie to me, to be honest. Like a lot of scenes that could probably work if it was executed better. Like there's especially this one scene where like the dad, Light's dad, finds out what Light has been doing with the Death Note this whole time, and he's in a hospital bed because he's sort of lost. And I thought, you know what, that could be interesting. Like they're talking about like this kind of philosophical, like mumbo jumbo, like lesser of two evils, deeper meaning kind of thing. I'm too dumb to know about that kind of stuff, or at least to fully explain it. Like I don't really know that many things. I'm pretty stupid, but I thought that could be interesting as well. Again, if I really cared about his journey, but I didn't really care about what he learned at the end. And yeah, again, I think mainly a lot of those issues come from the fact that the story and the characters just aren't interesting enough for me to care about like the deeper meanings and like themes it talks about, or like these scenes, which could be interesting if, like I said before, they were, executed better. Also, this movie just kind of boring. There were times where I got bored, and especially towards the end, I was just like, I just want this to be over. I don't really know how else to explain it. That's just it. It's just boring at times. So in conclusion, yeah, this movie sucked, but it wasn't the worst thing in the world, if I'm being honest. Like, it may have sounded like I was really mad at this movie at a few times, but in reality, I'm not. I just kind of over-exaggerate sometimes, and I'm pretty bad at explaining. Fault of mine. Man, I sure do suck. But regardless, this movie, is it the worst live-action anime adaptation I've ever seen? Technically, yes, but do keep in mind I've only seen like 2. So overall, yeah, pretty terrible, but yeah, it's really, I don't really care about it now. Like, if you want to get into Death Note, I recommend that you watch the anime. You could also read the manga. I won't because I'm lazy, but definitely check out the anime. It's pretty good. And yeah, definitely skip out on this movie. It still sucks, I'll admit. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. And if you're wondering about the whole bit in the beginning, don't worry about it. That wasn't real. That Death Note wasn't real. Look, I'll prove it to you right now. I'm gonna call Dante right now. Hold on, it's me. Hello, Mrs. Mortem. Is it okay if I talk to Dante? Why are you crying?